Hey, what's up, guys? This is Ricky V, and today we're going to talk about caffeine anhydrous. And now let me start by saying that caffeine anhydrous isn't some weird form of caffeine. No, it is the same caffeine you already know. The only difference is that it is in its crystal form, in its crystallized form, meaning it has no water added to it at all. And that's what anhydrous actually means. It means that this caffeine is devoid of any water. It's been removed through processes to get you just a crystallized active ingredient. And now look, I don't want you to skip this video because you think you know caffeine so well. There might be some things about it you might learn in this video. So please stay tuned. I'm going to tell you all about caffeine anhydrous, how it works in the vintage muscle formula along with the other nootropics, and what caffeine can do for you. The regular guy just trying to look good with your shirt off out on the beach, right? Just trying to get ripped for the summer, right? What can caffeine do for you? And should you include it into your program? We're going to get into that in this video, guys, so don't skip this one. I think you're really going to enjoy it. Now, the history of caffeine in the human brain goes back quite a long time. From the drinking of tea some 6,000 years BC to the drinking of coffee about 1,000 years ago. Caffeine is found in smaller amounts in tea, and we know we can get it in larger amounts in coffee. Caffeine is just that perfect molecule that affects our brain in just the right way by blocking this key molecule that would usually puts us to sleep. He does it in a very mild way that's not really damaging to the system. I mean, not least when you compare it to other addictive, psychoactive substances. Yes, caffeine is very addictive, but getting off of caffeine is quite easy. The side effects are quite mild. It's just most people choose not to because the performance enhancement aspects of caffeine far outweigh some of the concerns most people have about its safety. Caffeine works by blocking adenosine out of the adenosine receptor. Now, your body makes adenosine, and when it reaches certain adenosine receptors, it gives the cells a signal to kind of wind down, to start shutting down. It's part of a natural process. Some cells in your body, including the neurons in your brain, break down something called adenosine triphosphate for energy. And one of the breakdown products when this energy is created is adenosine. Now, as your brain uses energy throughout the day, levels of adenosine rise inside of the neuron. And as the levels of adenosine rise inside of the neuron, eventually some of that adenosine is going to leak out of the neuron. Now, this adenosine that is leaking out of the neuron is going to turn back around and activate the adenosine receptors in that neuron and neurons near it. There's adenosine receptors on the outside of the cell. And once these adenosine receptors are activated, they cause sleepiness. This is a pretty useful mechanism that your brain has to know when basically the brain has been working a long time throughout the day, enough where the adenosine is going to leak out of the neurons and come right back and make you sleepy because now your brain needs some rest. Very, very useful mechanism that's worked throughout evolution. And this is where caffeine comes in. This is where it comes in to actually disrupt this useful natural process and give you more energy, give you more focus, and make it easier to concentrate. Well, if you look at the caffeine molecule on paper, it is very close to the structure of adenosine. But caffeine is not adenosine. It is close enough in structure where it will attach to adenosine receptors, but it is not adenosine. It is just going to block real adenosine out of the receptors, sort of compete against it, and not let those adenosine receptors be stimulated, which means that now the cell won't start going into sleep mode. Basically, caffeine will take up the adenosine receptors and not create a signal, not tell the cell to start winding down. And so the cell continues normal functions. It keeps going as though it is time to be awake. And real adenosine doesn't make it into the receptors. This is how it keeps us awake. And this is the reason caffeine has had such a big impact in human history. It's just that perfect molecule that allows us to get just more hours of concentration and energy out of our brain. And this is why caffeine anhydrous is in the Vintage Muscle Preworkout formula, along with other nootropics. Caffeine begins to work right away. Pretty soon after taking the pre-workout, you're going to feel the caffeine kicking in within the first 10 to 15 minutes. Now, the effects of caffeine only last for a couple of hours. For some, it may last a little bit longer or just a little bit shorter. It depends on how good your body is at getting rid of the caffeine molecule. Once the molecule has been removed from the receptor, the real adenosine can then activate the receptor, and you should be able to fall asleep just like normal. So really, you want to just try not to have caffeine close to bedtime, at least 3 to 4 hours in my opinion. I've heard of many dudes and grandmothers that can drink a cup of coffee right before bed. That's not the case for me, and I doubt it's the case for too many of you out there. When it comes to the Vintage Muscle Pre-Workout, when it comes to the nootropic formula in the Vintage Muscle Pre-Workout, please understand, guys, caffeine is not the only ingredient. It is one of the main ingredients, but you also have other things in there like huperzine A, like N-phenylethyl dimethylamine, selenium tortosium, along with other ingredients that are there just to give you a good boost, just give you a great workout every time you take it. You get this nice kind of energy, feel-good buzz from the pre-workout, and it only gets a little bit better after every dose. I'm really enjoying it. And what's great about it is that you can now get the Vintage Muscle Pre-Workout for free. You can get it right now to try. Just head over to vintage-muscle.com and click on the Buy Now button at the top of the page. As you scroll down, you'll see the offer to get the Vintage Muscle Pre-Workout for free. Guys, this is a great pre-workout. I want everybody out there to please try it. You get it for free just for ordering a couple of stacks of Vintage Muscle products. The fact that you're getting the pre-workout for free, I think is a great deal. It's a whole nootropic mix. It's a really good product, guys. You'll be paying a ton of money for a pre-workout like this to buy off the shelf, and chances are you might not even find one this good. So getting it from Vintage Muscle for free is really a no-brainer. And look, guys, you don't have to take my word for it. Head over to vintage-muscle.com, and on the very top, click on the community link. That will take you right to the Facebook community. You can just come in and ask what everyone's experience has been using the Vintage Muscle Pre-Workout product. How they like it, and how it compares to other pre-workouts in the market. You'll get some honest answers from real Vintage Muscle customers. Real guys just like you, trying to find some answers and trying to make their way through this fitness journey that we're all on. Now, before I go, let me recommend a good stack to go along with the Vintage Muscle Pre-Workout. I like to mix 1 scoop of the Vintage Muscle Pre-Workout with 1 scoop of AMP and 2 capsules of the Nitric OX50 product. The Nitric OX50 product you get when you buy the 19 North stack. That's a great bulker. And you could definitely use the Nitric OX50 product right before your workout, along with AMP, along with the Vintage Muscle Pre-Workout. That's just a nice stack. All right, guys, that's it for me today. I will catch you on the next one. Peace.